Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. Just have a few quick things to say about the latest Obama scandal. Again, there's so many scandals, I've lost count, whether or not it was Benghazi Gate, or it's the bypassing of Congress with the National Defense Authorization Act, or it's the withdrawal and now re-immersion of U.S. troops in Iraq. Just Washington, D.C. totally engulfed in scandal, chaos, and criminal activity. But I did want to talk a little bit about the IRS probe here and the unfair targeting of conservative groups and the House stepping up their probe over missing emails, which I think is wonderful. I think it would be great to investigate people like Lois Lerner, who just conveniently lost her emails that they need for evidence regarding the probe, which kind of makes you wonder. I mean, the NSA, which logs everything, including your metadata, and honestly can look at you through your cell phone and track you anywhere in the world, why they couldn't just dig up the information themselves since they're connected directly to the government and they're a government agency, but they can't find it because it's not convenient politics. The House now stepping up their probe over missing emails. And in addition to her missing emails, which again would invoke criminal and really prove criminal activity at the highest law of the land, which could directly link back to the White House and the current incumbent, President Barack Obama, conveniently lost. Not only have they lost her emails, and of course the NSA can't dig it up at all either. They don't have the technology we're expected to believe. Yeah, if you really believe that Lois Lerner here, this little, raising her head with her nostrils flaring like, how dare you inquire about our emails? I mean, it's almost like she's going to start barking at the committee or something here. This little biatch, if that's not too over the top for you, has now lost even more emails. 6 more different email accounts have been lost as the GOP turns up the heat on the IRS. Ooh, so scary, GOP, turning up the heat in this BS right-left paradigm that just really is an illusion to propel the Kool-Aid drinking, debt-laden masses into perpetuity until you've taken everything from them that you possibly can. Lois Lerner on IRS hard drive crash says, you know what, sometimes stuff just happens regarding the lost emails. And, that should be enough for Americans. That should be enough for conservative groups and members of the Tea Party that were unfairly targeted by these illegal, by the way, practices. Again, all of this illegal at the highest law of the land, linking people like Lois Lerner potentially directly back to the White House and the President Barack Obama. Again, all of it illegal. Now the IRS has lost even more emails. Yeah, not just Lois's emails, but even more. The Internal Revenue Service says it can't produce emails from 6 more employees. Yeah, that's right. Not just Lois, but 6 more employees involved in the targeting of conservative groups, according to 2 Republicans investigating the scandal. I mean, again, so many scandals, too many to count. I've lost count. Again, there's so much and such a high frequency of criminal activity at the highest law of the land in Washington, D.C. and the White House that we've just lost count. It's honestly too much to report on. But I chose this one particular scandal because I think it's important. Again, Atkinson here saying on the missing IRS documents, if the emails really are lost, that's quite a story in and of itself. It kind of got me thinking, specifically these comments. It's kind of like what Hillary Clinton said, about Benghazi Gate after, faking her blood clot in fall so she didn't have to testify. And she said, what difference does it make? What difference does it make, she said, regarding the death of Christopher Stevens and, several other Americans. And just thinking about her comments here that, hey, sometimes stuff just happens. You just happen to lose things. I wonder what would happen if, let's say, just 1 million or so, maybe more Americans just happened to lose and lost their tax return here in 2014 or maybe last year's in 2013. If they just happened to lose it, I wonder what would happen to them. Because obviously nothing happens to this chick, nothing happens to Lois Lerner, but what would happen to the millions or so of Americans that just, lost their tax return? Maybe more than 1 million people just lost it. After all, Lois, things just happen. That's just what happens. You lose things sometimes, and it can't be dug up by the NSA, even though they track everything we do and they have all this high-tech technology. Maybe Americans might just lose their upcoming tax returns. And we'll see how Congress and the Senate and the President and Lois, how she reacts. I'm Christopher Green. Get it out everywhere. Make it viral. Hard-hitting it in your face. Peace.